Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Black Belt, brought to us by Sega. Black Belt, or as it is in Japan, actually based on the Fist of the North Star anime, is an action side-scroller which bears similarity to the Fist of the North Star game on the NES, as well as the other NES classic known as Kung Fu. You pretty much walk from one side of the screen to the other, blasting enemy after enemy, fighting some mini-bosses, and then making it to the main boss of a particular stage. Enemies in the game, besides the bosses, all die in a single hit, so it can be quite fun to actually run through and keep hitting them. So here we go with Black Belt for the Sega Master System. Now, instead of actually attacking all the enemies, though, for me, I'm actually going to jump over a large amount of the enemies. You can fight them, or you can just kind of go past them. There's only a couple that can spawn on the screen at one time, and after a certain amount of running away, they'll just kind of go off screen. Of course, by not fighting them, though, you won't get as much points. There are a lot of different mini-bosses scattered throughout. The first one, we're just kind of get in close and try to deliver a couple of hits while either ducking or jumping over his projectile that he throws out. Some mini-bosses are obviously going to be a lot tougher than others. Be sure to do the high jump so that you can grab power-ups, such as, of course, not only increasing your strength, but also getting health back. For this guy with his stick, try to do the jump attacks towards him in order to hit him when he's backing away from you, or get him into a corner and do a couple of rapid-fire hits. With power-ups, it usually only takes 4 hits in order to defeat most of the mini-bosses throughout the game. For this guy, he likes to jump a lot. Usually I wait for him to kind of just land and then do either an attack while he's landing, or jump towards him and then do an attack. If I'm up close, then he'll jump usually right over my head and then land and allow me to easily attack him. There's a total of 6 levels throughout the game, and there's actually a 7th bonus level that you can unlock with a code when you actually complete the game. For this large fat guy, just kind of get in close and deliver a couple of quick hits, and he should go down pretty quickly, though he is sometimes a little bit more difficult than some of the other mini-bosses for this stage. As for the first actual boss of the game, it's difficult. You don't want to get in really close and try to match him blow for blow. You want to be strategic about it, trying to do a lot of jump kicks, or if you're able to get him stuck against the wall, you can kind of time jump attacks against him. If you're able to get him up against either the left or right wall, which can be sometimes difficult as he loves to kind of run away from you, you can keep doing timed jump kicks up in the air in order to hit him. Now, a safe strategy is to kind of do a jump kick towards them, then back away, and then do another jump kick towards them, and repeat the process. You should be able to just barely avoid his attacks, while also delivering attacks of your own. Now, for all the bosses in the game, you have to defeat them with a certain move, so you'll have to defeat him and get him close to low health, and then get up close to him and deliver the specific move. For example, with him, we're going to go ahead and get up close and then deliver a standing punch in order to finish him off. At the end of a stage, your score is racked up, and then you move on to the next chapter. Level number 2, we have some tougher enemies. Technically, they like to jump a little bit more, but we're still going to do the same strategy of just running away from them. If you do jump kicks, a lot of times you can hit the ones that are directly in front of you before they're able to hit you. For the first guy, you have this guy with a whip that we're going to be doing some jump attacks to. Usually get him up against the right or left wall and then beat him up there, and if he's able to escape, repeat the process of doing the jump kicks. You'll notice a pattern of me doing a lot of jump kicks throughout the game. For the next guy, he throws knives from off screen, but I find if you time a jump kick to the left side of the screen, right as he gets done throwing like the first set of knives, you can actually kick and knock him off screen just enough that he'll actually go away and despawn. For the next actual level boss, it's a little bit tougher to dodge his moves as he does have a projectile, but if you're close to him, he usually won't use the projectile, so you'll be able to use those jump kicks that we used in the previous fight, or just keep hitting with punches, as he'll back away from a punch, and if you follow him in a straight line, just keep moving forward while also punching, you should usually get in 2 or 3 hits in order to defeat him. You gotta love the animations of doing the tons of kicks or punches in order to finally put down a boss before they end up exploding into a mess off screen. If you've ever seen the Fist of the North Star anime, it's a very violent anime with a lot of brutal scenes to it. Enemies exploding at a single punch, which translates relatively well to these classic style of games. Level 3 is going to continue our same strategy. You're going to find me pretty much jumping my way through each of the levels. And it really doesn't affect much because as long as you're able to get enough health, and you still get a little bit of health after mini-bosses, and you can find health that will fly overhead as long as you're quick enough to grab it. But overall, I usually just end up running past. Now for this guy, he's a little bit harder to hit because of his jump. But if you're able to get close once he lands that first time, you can see you can kind of combo a couple of hits into him. While I've never played the Japanese version of the game, one of the things I read that was a lot different is there's a lot less power-ups in the Japanese version of the game. Now for this boss, jump over him as soon as he gets close. He'll run across the screen, you'll be able to hit him a few times, then pull back away from him and start doing your jump kicks towards him. Do not stay close to him when he starts jumping towards the right, because he'll usually end up just destroying your health. Even though it doesn't even look like he's doing anything, he's just kind of like jumping towards you. But his massive sumo body just seems to like bump into you and do a lot of damage. As you can see, in just a couple of microseconds, almost all my health was completely drained. So you have to be very, very cautious when it comes to this. Level number 4, as we begin, you're going to have some fast-moving ninjas, and they do have blades that stick out a little bit farther, but the really annoying thing about the level is the birds that fly overhead. They're almost impossible to hit. They usually diving, hit me at least one time, and then they thankfully just fly away. Now for this guy, he runs really fast across the screen, so I jump over him and then deliver a hit when he's on the opposite side, then repeat the process until he's defeated. Usually by doing this strat, I'm able to not take too much damage during the course of the fight. Now if you stand still in the middle like I did at the end there, you can kind of get him to stop running back and forth, but it's a much more risky strategy, I find. For these two guys, you have two bosses at the same time, and it's hard because they have projectiles, so immediately run to one, defeat it as quick as possible, then focus on the other guy. He has a large blade, but the same strategies as normal of just kind of like jumping towards him and delivering hits is usually a pretty effective strategy to get past him. Now for this boss, this is the toughest boss in the game. Here's the strategy, just back up against this wall, and what you're going to want to do is time attacks after every punch that he delivers. You can see I can time it with a kick and then followed up immediately by another kick. As you'll notice, both our health is draining fast. When we get to the end, I'll have no health, but as soon as his health hits nothing, he dies. Whereas for me, I get one more hit when my health is drained all the way down to 0. Now fighting him without this strategy, I find near impossible. I honestly am not sure really the best way to do it outside of doing the strategy I did in that fight, because he blocks and counters every hit, and I end up losing health really quickly. So that's the best strategy I found in order to take out that guy. The next level is kind of like similar to one of the levels we did a little bit earlier. The only mini-bosses you're going to be fighting, though, are these guys with flamethrowers, and they're very annoying. Just like in the previous level, we're going to get in close and defeat one as quick as possible, and then focus on the other one, where we can usually jump over at least a couple of the projectiles from the flamethrowers themselves, but it's still pretty difficult to do so at points. Once again, you'll have to battle two more of the same guys. As I was already close to the right, I was able to do a jump kick, then duck quickly and do a couple of leg sweeps really fast, being able to defeat one of them before the other one was able to even really fire off a shot, though that's a little bit tricky to do and definitely takes some practice, but you'll have plenty of it because you have to fight the guys a couple of times throughout the course of the level. Here we go again one more time, getting close with the jump kick, and then deliver a couple of leg sweeps in order to easily defeat him, and then just do normal attacks to the other guy, doing the jump kicks towards him, or if he gets close enough, deliver a standing punch or kick. Now the upcoming boss is really tricky, because what you have to do is hit it with certain moves in a certain order. In order to defeat her, what you're going to have to do is a jump kick to start off, then a standing punch, then a ducking punch, followed by a sweep of the legs. You then have to repeat the process with the jump kick, standing punch, ducking punch, and then finally leg sweep. Now to finish it off though, what you have to do is back away, and then when she does her flying kick move to you, you have to meet her in the air with a jump kick of your own. I'm not sure how anyone kind of figured that out as a kid when you were first playing this game and tried to figure out how to beat this boss. I'm sure many people at one point got stuck on this particular boss. Now that's all the regular levels. The final level of the game is just the final boss of the game. Now obviously the final boss is going to be pretty tough to deal with, as he can do a lot of damage. But you can do the nice safe strategy of jump kicks to him, and these actually work really well, backing away and doing the jump kick. You probably got used to this by now in the earlier boss fights. If he jumps into the air to attack you, you can usually meet him in midair with another jump kick of your own. So for a final boss, I actually find him a lot easier than some of the previous bosses that we've been dealing with. In fact, a lot of times during this fight, I don't get hit at all. When you're able to deliver the last hit, and you have to do it with a punch, and that's probably the only part of the fight that can be a little bit more difficult. He'll kind of freeze in place in the center, your score will rack up, and you'll get to see the brief ending to Black Belt on Master System. Now, as soon as the screen is done and you get the black screen here with the text, you immediately have to hold down 1 and 2 on the control pad and tap the up button over and over again. Just keep holding those buttons down and tapping up until eventually this screen goes away and you go to the 7th and final level, which is just a boss rush against all the bosses. The only difference this time around is though your health does not regenerate between the levels, making it a lot tougher. But you don't have to start back at the first boss once you end up dying. You'll pick up right at the boss that you died at. So as long as you have a couple of extra lives going in, you should be able to make your way through. Now, I have to be more conservative on this boss rush. So I'm going to be doing my jump kicks to this guy, getting him stuck in the right corner as I was able to, and then timing my jump kicks correctly so I'm able to keep him stuck on the right side and keep delivering kicks. You're basically landing, waiting about a half a second or less, then doing another jump and delivering another jump kick until finally he goes down. And just like all the other times you fought the bosses, you have to defeat him with a certain move. Boss number 2 is similar to what we just did with the first boss, doing the jump kicks a lot of times, knocking him away with a kick or two, doing a jump kick close in, and then if I can hit him with a couple of standing kicks, do so, and do my best to kind of jump over the projectiles that he's able to throw out. Remember, for the sumo guy, we're going to immediately jump over him as he does his charge. When he gets against the left wall, hit him a couple of times, and then when he jumps away from the wall, we're going to start doing our kick attacks to him, watching out for that jump he initially does so his stomach doesn't end up just destroying our health. The problem is, if you've taken any damage up to this point, it makes the next boss near impossible to beat. So I will end up pretty much just sacrificing a life when it comes to the next boss, because the only strategy I said I could find was backing against the wall and then attacking him. So we're pretty much just going to have a useless fight. I'll still try to attack him and defeat him, but there's no way to get that last hit off on him, it seems like, in order to finish him off before I end up getting a hit myself. So unfortunately, after losing that life, I'll just back up against this wall, and then keep doing the standing kicks. Delivering a kick as soon as he gets close, he'll duck it, and then immediately follow it up with another kick, being able to knock him away and slowly drain his health until he's defeated, and we can move on. Now, when we do move on, we're only going to have a very small bit of health. Now for Rita, remember the strategy is pretty simple once you actually know what you gotta do. Starting off with that jump kick, followed by the standing punch, ducking punch, and then the sweep kick. Now you can also, with this battle, start off with a standing kick instead of the jump kick, but I always find it easier to deliver that jump kick to start it off, and then go into the other combos, and then when her health is all the way down, finish her off with that jump kick when she's doing her own kick. Once you do it 1 or 2 times, you'll probably have it down. Once again, for the final boss of the game, sometimes he may jump over us at the beginning. I'll usually let that happen, and then start the jump kick routine in order to keep him at bay, backing away from his attacks, and just keep delivering that jump kick. Now, sometimes when he charges in close, it gets a little bit scary, because you're always afraid he may deliver a hit, especially if you're close to a wall, but he usually seems to just kind of like run into me and then run past me without actually attacking, and then I'm able to usually follow it up relatively quickly with more of the jump kicks. Once you deliver the final hit, though, that's the end of the game. Unfortunately, you don't get anything really special for doing the extra level, the extra boss rush mode to the game, but it's still kind of fun to complete. All you get for the ending is this red screen, which I assume has the end, or fin, written in the lower right corner, and of course the Japanese writing. The game then goes back to the title screen and starts all over again. Overall, a relatively fun, action, arcadey style game that I wish could have just kept the Fist of the North Star like motif to it, but overall, a pretty fun game on the Master System. But that will wrap up this episode of Play It Through. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a thumbs up or commenting down below. Now if you enjoyed Black Belt, which was based on Fist of the North Star, be sure to check out the Fist of the North Star game for the NES I did a while back. Special thanks to Ducks Cub for not only pledging on Patreon, but also donating the cart for this particular Play It Through it. Originally, I was just going to kind of do a first play of it, but soon after just a few days of playing it, I was able to kind of get it down for this video. Now, I also need to thank all the other members of my Patreon. You guys are keeping this channel alive. I can't thank you guys enough for your continued monthly pledges and monthly support. You guys are really a major help in keeping this whole thing going, from reviews, Play It Throughs, Bar Geeks, Snack Shack, and all the other videos, and live streaming that I do here via the Cornshaq channels. Thank you guys so much. You can help out as well. Just click the Patreon button down below. You can get a couple of really cool incentives for helping out the streams and helping out the YouTube on a regular basis. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for your continued support, and I hope you enjoy.